This episode of A Conversation with John Conenna is sponsored by Generate. In today's digital age, staying ahead means harnessing the power of generative AI. Wondering how your small or medium-sized business can join this revolution? Look no further than Generate, your strategic partner for integrating cutting-edge generative AI solutions. We create personalized plans, adapting existing AI technologies to fit your specific business needs. Plus, our expert team provides essential training, empowering you to make the most of these innovative technologies. Interested in transforming your business with AI? Reach out to us at generateteam@gmail.com. That's generate, GENERAIT, team@gmail.com. And now, on with the episode.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of A Conversation with John Conenna. Tonight is the special one again for me because it's the subject I love. It's the subject of goaltending. And today we have a star in our presence from the University of Minnesota State, Division I hockey. I bring on in here today Alexander Tracy, but we're going to call him Alex tonight. It's the goalie name, Alex. So
Oh yeah.
we're going to call him Alex tonight. And like I said, he is part of a NCAA Division I men's hockey goaltender for the Minnesota State Mavericks. Alex, good evening, welcome. And what's going on with you, young man, right now before I start going back a little bit in time with you?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, John. I appreciate it. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here talking with you. And yeah, things have been going great. Can't complain.
Good, good. No. So I got to ask you because for me, it starts about 8, 9 years old. It starts by me watching street hockey and going in one night and watching a channel here a little bit, maybe before your time, but I know you're from Chicago, and we're going to touch base on that. I went in to watch a station called WGN,
Hmm.
and I turned to Channel 9, and there was a Chicago Blackhawk road game. And I see a guy with the jersey number 35 flopping around. So I said to my mom, hey, throw a ball around here. I'm just going to flop around because this guy, I was trying to imitate the great Tony Esposito. How does it start for you? Because it started for me in 1969. How does it start for you, the love of the position?
Yeah, so it kind of started the same way as you kind of brought up, in terms maybe not so much for the position, but overall starting in hockey. Started at a young age, I think about 6 or 7 years old. My dad, right around when the Blackhawks were starting their rebuild, around 08 before they won the cup in 2010. So the Hawks were starting to get good, watching them on TV. Always wanted to go out there and try and learn how to skate and play hockey. So my dad took me to the outdoor rink in Mount Greenwood Park. I don't believe it's up there anymore. I think recently
Where was Alex? Where was Mount Greenwood Park? The outside.
it was right by it was right on 111th right off of Pulaski, I believe.
Okay, okay.
Right near the Ag School down in Mount Green MTG.
PG, yeah.
That's kind of where it got started, learning how to skate. And then I actually started my first year of hockey as a defenseman, and it wasn't until the following summer we had a 3-on-3 tournament, and we didn't have a goalie going into our first game of the tournament because the goalie that we had at the time wanted to switch out, play player, score some goals. So, I was always intrigued by the position, so I agreed to strap on the pads, played a couple games, and ended up loving it. And that and the next year, probably to my parents' dismay in the moment,
Yeah,
um,
right.
I told them that I wanted to play goalie. So we did whatever we could, like me being the first sort of ice hockey player in the family. We
Sure.
didn't know what we were doing to start, so we kind of just gathered as much equipment as we possibly could that looked like would function. Got me out there and started playing goalie, and I fell in love with it right away, and that has kind of led to where I'm at today here at Minnesota State.
How old were you when you did the defenseman to goalie switch? How old
I
were you?
believe I was 9 years old. I
Okay,
think
so yeah, we're right in that same
hmm
thing where So I gotta tell you, I mean, this has to be. I just still find it exhilarating that here comes this puck. A guy is shooting a puck at you. So you gotta. I mean, the mentality of a Alex Tracy, a John Conenna, whoever the greatest goaltender is now in the game, you got to
Hmm.
wonder about that guy. What? I mean, and over the years, like, your mom and dad have been in those stands since those early days. And,
Hmm.
I'm sure they've heard the cat calls when the Alex Tracy had the good game or the bad game. So,
Hmm.
how did you have the personality for this, you think, going in? You knew that, if you let one in, boom, I'm going to
Hmm.
hear something from my teammates. How did you handle that at first?
Yeah, 100%. I think goalies definitely have that reputation for kind of being oddballs, and maybe rightfully so. For who would want a little black disc being shot at 90 miles an hour coming at you all the time? Like,
Right.
kind of takes a special breed to want to strap on the pads and get in front of those shots. But no, I've loved it, and I think you bring up the point of where when things are going well and you have good performances, and the praise that you can kind of get from that. But then also the flip side, when things aren't going well or maybe you lose a game, everyone tends to look at the last line of defense, the goalie, and kind of,
Right.
oh, you put
Right.
that puck in, like what's going on here? And that could definitely add some pressure. But throughout my career, and not even just in hockey, but as an athlete in general, I love being in control. And I think, like, the goaltending position, it's a lot of onus on how the game goes is kind of dependent on that position. If your goalie's hot, your goalie's playing well, you're more likely going to win than not, and then vice versa. If your goalie's not seeing it well, not playing to his best, like, it can be challenging, maybe more so than any other position in that dynamic. And I like that pressure. I like that feeling of knowing that, like, I have a big say in the outcome of the game, and I think that has helped me elevate my game, like, not only physically to try and be the best that I can be for my teammates, wherever it has been in my career, but also mentally as well. The mental hurdles that I've had to um, jump over throughout my career, in terms of, when things weren't going well, and trying to handle, and then vice versa, like, trying to handle when success might be coming my way. It's The goaltending position is very mental, so kind of figuring out how to manage that throughout my career um has been a big challenge. But I've loved every second of it, and super super grateful to be in the position that I am in today.
Thank you for bringing up the mental aspect and the physicality aspect. I could still remember when a high school team would have a 5-on-4 at me. I never got to the level that you got to. I mean, I played here in Loyola for a couple seasons at the university downtown, which was a club team. But I have to tell you, when especially a 5-on-4 and you're killing a penalty, it reminds
Mhm.
me, Alex, of the boxer who's in the ring for 3 minutes, especially if that team's clicking on all cylinders, hitting the point,
Mhm.
cycling behind your net, looking for the open man. And now Alex Tracy's mentally got to be looking for that pass, watching the physicality. Now he's got to make the save. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is, and especially at the level of the game is now, the speed and everything else. It's incredible. Did you
Mhm.
start off like in Orland Park or no?
No, so I started off my I started off playing double A in Crestwood with the St. Jude Knights.
No, sir.
So
No,
I
I'm
spent
well.
I spent all of my youth, or most of my youth hockey career there. And then it wasn't until, I believe, I think I was in seventh or eighth grade, is when I made the jump from double A to triple A, and that's when I started playing for the Chicago Fury out of
Fury.
Orland. So
Right.
it wasn't until around that year, so like 2014, 2015, is when I first started playing for the Fury
The
out in
Fury.
Orland. And then, yeah, spent my whole AAA career with them. Played 2 years of 18s. That's kind of how it finished off. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to graduate high school at Mount Carmel in 2019, still playing for the Fury. And then that's kind of when I got my opportunity in juniors for a couple years, that led to getting recruited at Minnesota State. But yeah, it started off at St. Jude and Crestwood, and then led to the Fury in Orland. A few short years after that.
Yeah, a few short years. And of course, when you look at, because I've done a little bit of the research on you, you look at that. I mean, it comes up on your record on the hockey, net thing, that you were with the Fury. Who was your coach at the Fury, Alex?
So I actually had quite a few. So in terms of, like, head coaches, when I first got there, It was Brett wrote for a little bit. He actually passed away a few years ago. So I mean, rest in peace to him. He was such an unbelievable uh, what you would call role model in
That
my
mentor
life,
to
not
you.
only
Yeah.
helping
Yep.
me, yeah,
Yep.
not only helped me in my hockey career, but also like outside of the rink. Like
Sure.
he was always like caring about me like as a human and fighting for me like away from the rink. So he was such a special person to have in my life. And then it sort of transitioned into Dennis Vasky. He was my coach for a couple years. Tony Curtali for a year. I think my second year of 18s when we won the state championship there. So I had quite a few variety of coaches. And then in terms of goalie coaching, Jimmy Ryan, he was unbelievable.
Okay.
He played a huge part in kind of my recruitment from St. Jude up to the
Wow.
Fury. And kind of when I first went there, he was helping me out in the spring program and stuff. At the time it was a big jump. It was
Oh,
a lot
sure.
different,
Wow.
in terms of speed and skill. That going from double A to triple A, and he really helped make that transition smooth. So he's been an unbelievable. I actually was talking to him just a couple days ago, catching up with him over the weekend, and he's all the people that I have uh, was blessed to work with there during my time there was unbelievable, and connections that I still have to this day. And so yeah, super grateful for the time that I spent there with the Fury.
And I want to go back to your goaltending coaches. I coached at the Northwest Chargers, which we would play St. Jude's once in a while. Now, this goes back. I wound up retiring from coaching in 2009, but I remember those teams like when we had the Flames, St. Jude, the Orling Park Vikings, the Downers Grove Huskies, all those teams. I have to tell you, these goaltending coaches over the years, when you go back to remember from that first start, 9 years old, to where you are now with your goaltending coach now, whoever it is at Minnesota, did you pick up something from each one of them that has benefit to you now? Do you remember something like, wow, he showed me something about angles. Told me, about the coverage.
Mhm.
Did it all of them have something special for you?
Yeah, 100%. I think every coach kind of has their own little way, their own style of getting their points across. And yeah, I think there are things today that I still apply maybe to practice, very basic fundamental things that I learned when I was, 13, 14, starting to play AAA, that I still will apply in practices now, like now that I'm playing college hockey. That 'cause, 'cause it's those basics and those fundamentals that it really are the core pieces of goaltending. When things aren't going well, it can be easy to get really complicated with it or try to recreate specific scenarios in game situations that you might not see again in a long time. But it's when you get back to those basics, those fundamentals, whether it's tracking, rebound control, positioning, skating, like whatever it is, getting back to that, to the roots of those fundamental principles that can really help get my game back to where I need it to be. And yeah, it's thanks to all the coaches that I've had. Not even, I know we've been talking about the Fury, but even before then, with some of the coaches I had at the Fury, St. Jude, juniors, like, and then even now here at Minnesota State, like the influence that coaches have on players, and not only even physically for the goalie position, but also just in life in general, has made such an impact on me. Something that I've realized. So that's something that I've kind of gained a passion for. So any chance that I have to kind of give back to the game, coaching, whether it's goalie coaching or mentorship or anything like that, that's kind of a passion that I've really developed over the years, and that's something that I realized that I want to take into my career after hockey as well. So yeah, like those things that the goalie coaches that I've learned like all throughout all these years, they stick. And grateful for all the opportunities and all the amazing people that I've been fortunate enough to work with.
Over the years, back in my day, we didn't have goaltending coaches. I mean, the coach was saying, okay, either you're playing right or not, or get out of here, or I'm going to put the other guy in. But I have to tell you, the position when you're on, and tell me if I'm wrong, because now I'm going to date myself, but when you're on, and everything is in that groove, that puck sometimes looks like a beach ball when you're on. Like
Hmm.
nothing's
Yep.
going in. The deflection, nothing. Bedard could come by and do his little magic thing. You're gonna grab it. You're on. You're spot on. But when you're off, it kind of reminds me of now all of a sudden that puck is looking like a golf ball and
Hmm.
everything's going in. And it reminds me of the baseball hitter who was in a slump. So I appreciate what you said. You go back to the fundamentals to because a goaltender kind of reminds me of the baseball batter. You could be hot, and all of a sudden, here comes a leaker from behind the net, or one goes through the pads, or you don't cover the angle, and boom, these are beautifully said by you, the
Hmm.
fundamental fact of that. After you go on to play for this Johnstown Tomahawks.
Hmm. Yes. So it actually there was a little bit it doesn't show up on the elite prospects or on the internet, but it's actually a pretty cool story. So I graduated high school, I was playing with the Fury, didn't really have many junior offers coming out from there. The only opportunity that I had was with the Shreveport Mudbugs, and they are in the same league. They're in the NAL, the North American Hockey League,
Okay.
the same one as the Johnstown Tomahawks, who I ended up spending the majority of that year. That I think, what was it, the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, 1920
Um,
at the end of
so they're the
2019.
same league, yeah. So they were the only invite to training camp that I got. So it was kind of a leap of faith. I had a decision because I still had one more year of AAA eligibility left heading into that year. So I had the decision to either stay at home and play AAA, even though I was graduated high school, live at home and just
Right.
kind of stay in that comfortable spot that I knew, like, okay, I can go back here. This is an option. Or I could go to this training camp in Shreveport in the Knoll, where I was most likely going to be a third goalie because they had two returners who were both older than me. I obviously had no junior experience heading in, so that was kind of what I was looking at. And with the help of conversation with my parents and my advisor at the time, like they really helped me make that decision to
Sure.
because it was something that me and my dad always talked about in my careers. Like whenever you have an opportunity to go to the next level, like you need to take it, right? Like
Right.
staying in the same spot and staying comfortable is never gonna breed growth, right? So that's something that has always stuck with me my
You
whole
want to
life that
make
he
that
has taught me.
progression. Yeah.
Exactly. So made the jump, went to Shreveport, Louisiana, 12 hours from home, first time living away from home. So it was kind of this big leap of faith, and spent the month of training camp there. Wasn't planning on playing all year, and every year in the NAL they have this opening season showcase that's in Blaine, Minnesota, right? So here I am in Shreveport, Louisiana, southernmost part of the
Down there. Yeah.
country, Minnesota, where this tournament is. So it's actually the day we're planning on leaving at around 9 o'clock. The day that we're leaving, we're going to drive through the night up to Minnesota for that tournament. I'm sitting in my room, my billet house in Louisiana playing video games. It's probably 4 hours before the bus has to leave. I get a call from my advisor saying papers are in the works, like whatever. Start packing your stuff. Like you're heading to Johnstown. Me, like I had no idea. I didn't even know Johnstown was a city. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
right. Where is it on
Didn't
the
know of
map?
any. Yeah, really, all I knew was just Shreveport in this North American hockey. That's all I knew. So I start scrambling, call my parents, coach, go meet with him at the rink. He kind of gives me the details about what's going on. So I had to pack all my stuff, everything. Fortunately, my grandpa lives in Bossier, Louisiana, which is like 30 minutes from where the Mudbugs played. So he drives, picks up all my stuff in his car. I
Wow.
take the bus with the team to Minnesota, Uber after we get there to my new team, Johnstown's hotel, play with Johnstown the next night, and then I take the bus with them to Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, my grandpa drives my car with all my stuff up to Chicago to my parents. My parents bring it all the way over to Pennsylvania. So it was this crazy, crazy
Wow.
story of like, yeah, one day, no thought of really basically playing the whole year, just gonna grind, hopefully be the start of the next year. To all of a sudden, within 5 hours, I'm packing up, traveling with my team that I'm technically not even a part of anymore to Minnesota, meeting my new
Exactly.
team, playing them, and so crazy story. But then I ended up playing the rest of the year in Johnstown, and what a blessing that was. And the people, I mean, my head coach Mike Letizia there, welcoming me in. He's a fellow Chicago guy. That's kind of where the connection was made. He reached out to my advisor. They needed a goalie, so that's kind of how the whole
Wow.
process trade happened, where I ended up there. And yeah, what a special year that was. That
A
was
great
there.
experience under him, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was incredible. The lessons I learned there and getting my experience in junior hockey and where that ended up leading me to the next couple years was unbelievable. And my time in Johnstown will always be special,
That's
have a
special. I
special place
gotta
in my
ask
heart.
you, did you see the huge difference going from, like, say, the Fury, this
Mhm.
AAA league now, to this Johnson? Did you see the progression? Like, oh,
Mhm.
these guys are faster. The
Yeah.
shots are coming in harder. The speed of the
Mhm.
game is quicker. You had to make that adjustment too, correct?
100%. And I think when it got to that point from, the AAA jump to juniors, like playing in the NAL was a pretty significant jump. But then once it got from there, from the NAL and then to the USHL and then to now playing college hockey, it's all something that I always say when people ask me this question is like, it's not necessarily so much where like the players are faster and bigger and stronger and the shots are coming in harder and things like that, but it's just the decision making is so much faster,
Right.
and then the precision that decisions are being made is so much smaller, like the windows, the margin of error is so much smaller as well. Where you take maybe someone, my experiences in the null, where maybe they're making a cross ice pass, might take like a second to catch, release, then shoot. You make the jump to the USHL where guys are it's on their tape, off their tape quick, and they're picking their spots with very little or with very high accuracy and things like that. So maybe
Right.
not so necessarily in terms of like speed, in terms of physical speed, but just in how players process the game and how quick they can make decisions and how much faster that I had to read the play. That was the biggest kind of transformation point or thing that I had to adapt to moving from AAA to the NAL and Johnstown and then eventually Johnstown moving forward.
Right, exactly. Then you wind up in the USHL, correct? At that point, and
Mhm.
you're with Sioux City.
Yes, after the year I had in Johnstown, I got drafted in the third round, I believe, to Sioux City that
Yeah.
summer, and then that's my USHL career with the Musketeers for the
And
next
how
two
many years
years.
were you there? How many years were you there?
I was there 2 years total.
2 years total. And again, another type of progression. Uh, you're with different players, different, and you're seeing, just different kinds of offenses, study. How much do you, as the goaltender, of course, with the team, like you said tomorrow to Michigan Tech after this interview, Alex will be headed to Michigan Tech for games. How much goes into the study of the Michigan Tech team, knowing that, do you know you're starting tomorrow, by the way, or are you starting this weekend?
So I think generally, so the first part of your question, in terms of like preparation, yeah, a lot of it goes into making sure you know the opponent, what their tendencies are. We have like systems that we have within our team. Like we'll take a look at their offensive and defensive strategies. So, as a goalie, I like to see like names that I should know on each roster, like what guys' tendencies are, like where they generate their most scoring opportunities, and just to get an idea of what to expect. But and that has kind of grown throughout my career. In Johnstown, it was every level had their own kind of pre-scout of other
Sure.
teams, and then that has gotten more elevated as the levels go up, due to mainly, more resources, more video, more information that you have on other teams. But at the end of the day, it's all about it's good to take in that information on other teams, but at the end of the day, as long as I I'm as prepared as I possibly can be, and I know that I'm giving it my all and competing to the best of my ability, like that's what's priority number one for me. Like it's very important to know the opponent, but also at the same time, like there's a standard that myself and our team um that we want to play up to, and we're confident that if we can just get to that standard night in and night out, that we can beat whoever's on the schedule. But it's getting to that point of you know us having to buy in, and myself having to buy in to what makes us great and what makes us
Sure.
succeed, and getting to that point. And then in terms of your question about like knowing who's starting, I think usually throughout practice, like there's certain tendencies and like line charts or whatever like that. So I think guys have a good feeling of knowing who's going to
Right.
be maybe in what slot going into a weekend. But at the end of the day, I try to not focus on that too much. Like, I just try to take it one day at a time. And then, our coach, Luke Strand, who's my head coach here now, and he was actually my head coach who I won a championship with back in Sioux City.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've known him for years now, so I've kind of got his routine and how he likes
There's a
to handle
comfort zone with him.
time.
There's a
So
comfort zone. Yeah,
yeah,
you
100,
want
yeah,
it. Right.
100%. So yeah, he usually shoots out a text the day, either the day before the game or the morning of, like if you're starting or not. So that's kind of that final little affirmation of if I'm going or not. But regardless, I mentioned it before, like preparation is so important. So whether I know like if I am starting or not, like I want to prepare the same way so that no matter who it is in the crease, like we have confidence that we can go out
Sure.
there and win.
Alex, how much practice here being at Minnesota State at the university with the Mavericks? Uh, how many days a week are you practicing now, away or when you guys are at home? How many days a week is the practices?
Yeah, we're practicing every day. So
Every
we
day.
Monday, Wednesday we'll have a lift in the morning at around 7:30, but then Monday through Thursday it's practice, unless we're on the road and practicing at someone else's rink where we're on their their rink's time slot.
Sure.
We're practicing the same every day in our rink, usually around like 1:30, give or take a couple minutes. And then yeah, and then if we like, for example, this week we head to Michigan Tech tomorrow, so we'll practice at our rink, and then we'll load up the bus, head on the road, and then we'll practice. And we're actually stopping in Duluth halfway, so we'll practice there.
And a
Um,
rink there.
yeah, we'll practice there, and then we'll load up the bus again, finish the trip to Michigan Tech, and then have our weekend series there. So yeah, it's practice Monday through Thursday, games Friday, Saturday, and then Sundays are usually to ourselves, unless we have some community service, which our program loves to do, which has been such a blessing in my life as well to be able to give back not only to the game but the community. And so yeah, six of the 7 days are workload, which can get it can get stressful at times, but it's
Sure.
so much fun.
You know,
Love the
I mean, and you have to have really, I mean, you have to be prepared, the work ethic and everything else. I mean, you really have to be, conscientious of everything. I mean, the accolades for you just in reading this before we talk a little bit more about Minnesota. I mean, Collegiate Player of the Week, your most valuable Collegiate Conference champion. I mean, you've had a lot of accolades here. And the thing that stands out the most to me is over this period of time with this goaltending from the Fury to now the Mavericks, and if it was the Sioux, your goals against and save percentage is outstanding. Outstanding. Something came up about you, about an old goaltender. I think I tweaked it. This was before we even talked. I was because I was starting to do the research on you. You're kind of Dryden-esque in the sense of when I talk about the great Ken Dryden, when I look at some of these numbers, these are Dryden-esque numbers for our audience who doesn't remember the great Ken Dryden who played for the Montreal Canadiens. But you are a junior there now, right? A junior there now. And
Yes, correct.
what happens after college? Will you be set up then for the NHL draft?
So as of right now, so my draft eligibility window closed a few years ago. You have three. When you turn the year you turn 18, I believe you have it's either 2 or 3 years of
Okay.
draft eligibility, but then after that, you just become a free agent. So technically, right now, I am an NHL free agent. So,
Agents.
say after this year, say I have a really good year and a team wants to sign me, it's just whatever contract like comes across the table, like I would be able to sign. So I'm not limited to any team because I wasn't drafted during my window, and since I'm past it now, I'm just technically a free agent open to be signed. Um, that's something. Pro hockey is definitely a road that I would like to take when my collegiate career is done, or whenever that possibility um opens up. But also at the same time, I've the fact that you mentioned I'm a junior, like I also can't believe that I'm a junior already. Like the time has been flying, and like I can't,
Please.
the fact that I'm already more than halfway done kind of blows my mind. And so I've been really focusing on trying to cherish every moment, every practice, every game, and just really keep my feet grounded here in the moment where I'm at. And then when that time comes where to turn the page from the collegiate chapter to maybe the professional career, whatever the Lord has in store, then
Right?
that will be the time to start focusing into that. But with how fast things have been going, kind of just
Oh.
take a step back, take a deep breath, and kind of just enjoy the place that I've been put right now.
And for someone like yourself, this young man, Alex, and by the way, I want to just stop this for 1 second. We are visiting today with Alex Tracy, the goaltender at the Minnesota State University for the Mavericks Division I hockey, who's had an unbelievable career from his early days as a young man to now this truly fine young man who is playing the position of that I love, and a position that takes a lot of skill and not a knowledge and physicality. I have to ask you this. What are you studying at Minnesota?
Mhm. So I'm studying business finance. So going into college when I first committed, wasn't really sure. So this is taking you back to when I was in my second year in Sioux City, committed late into my or halfway through my age out year there, junior. I had only a couple months from the time I committed to when I actually
Sure.
got on campus for my freshman year. And I wasn't exactly sure what it was that I wanted to study. And I just knew that throughout like my um, life and in school, like something that I was always good with was with numbers. Like math was always my best subject, and so
Got it.
finance was always kind of on the table for that reason. And since I didn't really know exactly what it was I wanted to do with my life and with my studies going to school, I kind of chose that. And from hearing the guys that I knew who were already playing college hockey or who were already committed and things like that, it was very common to see college hockey players in some kind of business um,
Sure.
format when in terms of their studies. And everyone said that it was great in terms of managing the stresses of the hockey schedule, but also with school, social life, and things like that. So that was kind of what made it really attractive for me. And I've loved it. I've enjoyed like the finance career so far. But I touched on it a little earlier. The passion for coaching has really grown inside of me
Right.
over the last couple of years, just from the platform that I've been given to help out with to give back to the game and to give back to younger kids and help out younger athletes in their career. And I just know I mentioned it with how influential the coaches that I've had in my life were on me, not only physically in the game, but also mentally and emotionally and things like away from the rink. So I heard it from someone before as like a coach, a sports coach is one of the most influential people that will be on your life, whether that is
Sure.
positively or negatively. And I really want to, so now I've kind of transitioned into that mindset of wanting to maybe use my finance background and take it into some form of coaching. So maybe being affiliated with a team, being a goalie coach, but then also maybe opening my own goalie school or some kind of
Yeah.
business or things like that. So I really want to stay around the sport. So I'm studying finance, but I want to use that and kind of um, correlate it with my passion for coaching that I've recently had and kind of give back to the game in that way.
And I can see that just in our conversation tonight, how articulate you are about this sport. And of course, the passion is just drilling out of here, because that's great that
Mhm.
you are going to graduate next year, if the numbers are all correct. You next
Yes.
year, of course, becoming a senior. I have to ask you and correct me, because this part I don't know. Let's say, could an AHL team, we'll take our team here in town, the Chicago Wolves, came calling. Would you take the offer from an AHL team, Chicago Wolves?
So you're saying like if it were to happen before like I were to graduate, or are you talking
Yes,
about just like in
graduate or
general?
even after the graduation.
Yeah, I think if any opportunity that opens up with that, AHL, the AHL is an unbelievable league, and that
Oh
is
yeah,
like, um that is definitely like a target of mine. Like if I were to play pro hockey, like that's kind of the league that I'd want to play in. And then, if Lord willing, if I were able to make an appearance in the NHL, like that would just be a dream come true as well. And um so yeah, I think it would have to go if it were to happen before I were to finish school, it would take um some considering, some pondering, some discussion with coaches, family and things like that on that end. But yeah, post collegiate career, if that opportunity were to open up, especially playing for, a hometown
home
team
team, yeah.
like the
Or
Wolves,
even
like that would
or even
be
the Rockford Ice Hogs, somebody,
yeah, exactly. That would be unbelievable, a dream come true. But yeah, as I mentioned before, just trying to take it one day at a
Yeah.
time and everything that I can right now today to put myself in the best spot that if I were to be given that opportunity that I would be able to take full advantage while enjoying where my feet are at right now here at
Right now.
Minnesota State.
How are things going with the Minnesota team this year? And of course, how you've enjoyed these last 3 years, of course, I'm sure.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I think this year I feel like my freshman year, I had a good start, but then lost the starting job for the second half, and that was a great opportunity to kind of grow and learn and learn what it meant to be a goalie at that level, and especially how to attack practice and work on the mental side of the game. And then last year was kind of a little had some great moments, but a little inconsistency in some areas of my game, and I think some of it had to do with the mental side of it as well.
Sure.
And going into this year and just the amount of preparation, the work that me and my goalie coach Ryan Edquist here at Minnesota State, and the support of people like my family, friends, and coaches, teammates, and things like that, like helping me to put myself in the best spot to succeed this year. And it's been a great start, personally for me. So far, like these first, I think we're 14 games into the year, and there are a couple games where I think that we as a team might want back. We're happy with where
Yeah.
we're at. We have some big wins. We opened up with a win against Michigan. We had a split against North Dakota, who was number 5 at the time. We swept number 16 Omaha at the time. So we've had some really good
You
wins,
had
but I
some
think
good,
we've
yeah.
also had a couple, yeah, where we've left on the table. And we have a somewhat of a new group, a lot of new guys, freshmen, transfers who came in. So I think now that we have some of these games under our belt and we're 3 weeks into our conference play, we're starting to feel each other out and starting to click a little bit, and we're hoping to take that momentum into the rest of the year. But yeah, it's been a great start. Super blessed to for these first 14 games, but as I mentioned before, it's all about that next shot, that next game, and
The next
we
shot,
got to
that
make sure
next
that
game, right?
we're keep the gas on
Exactly.
the pedal.
Exactly. Question for you: over the 3 years you've been there, are we always carrying two goaltenders or three goaltenders in college?
So my first 2 years we had three, and then this year we actually have four.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I
Okay.
think most teams, yeah, most teams will have at least three, and then I think I only know of a handful of teams in the country that have four. But
And
yeah,
you're
we're fortunate
carrying the
enough to
most of the load here, right? You are carrying the load.
um, what do you mean in terms of like?
Of the starting of these games.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah. So far this year, yes, I've started. I think we've played 14. I've started all 14
Oh wow.
thus
Okay.
far.
Yeah.
But yeah, but to touch on that as well though, like the three other goalies that we have on our roster, like they're unbelievable as well, and they're like people don't get to see, people see what goes on and when the lights turn on Friday and Saturday, but the work that they put in like on a day-to-day basis in practice, like we're all there pushing each other to get better, and like the attitude and the energy that we all bring pushes each one of us to want to be our best, and it's given our team the confidence that I've been fortunate enough that the Lord has blessed me with 14 starts out of 14 so far this
Yeah.
year. But
Wow.
our team our team knows that no matter who it is that is in that crease, due to our preparation and how hard that we push each other in practice, and how great of human beings that those other three are, that we have that confidence that we
Sure.
can that our goalie group will give our team a chance to win no matter who it is.
And you know what, Alex? Before now, I want to play a little game with you here at the end. Beautifully said, because you just, in the greatest form and fashion, have talked about team concept without using the word team. We're working together to make it grow. This is our company. This is what we're going to work on. If Alex Tracy has the bad night, maybe it's Jimmy Smith that's going to come in. I don't know the names of the other three goaltenders, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is this is. I love to hear that because nowadays sometimes I'm getting to see this, like here in Chicago, the pain is coming in on Bedard. Oh, Bedard hasn't done this. Bedard hasn't done that. Bedard needs help in order to make this work.
Hmm.
All right, listen,
Hmm.
I want to ask you 5 questions. You can answer them one word answers. Actually, I got like a 5A tonight. It's like a half question, but all right.
Hmm.
One word answers, two word answers, sentence, but we'll start it here. We want to get to know a
Okay.
little bit more about Alex Tracy, and I'm going to let you go because I know your time is valuable. You brought up some people. Maybe you can bring up the names. Who are those early mentors that you still talk about? It could be your parents. It could be an aunt and uncle. It could be these coaches. Who's like two or three that you still talk about to this day about this game?
Mm, You know, it's got to be my parents. I mean, I know that can be kind of a cliche answer, and I've had unbelievable people within the sport of hockey who have helped me at every position, but they have been there every single step of the way. I mentioned it. I didn't No one in our family really played hockey before, and the amount of work that my dad put into it to try and learn as much about the position to try and help me out, and then the amount of sacrifice that my mom made, like taking me to practice and bearing with me and things like that throughout my career. It's like I would not be where I am right now without them. And I know there's people within the sport that I could say as well, but none as influential as my mom and dad.
No cliche at all, my young man. No cliche. That's well said, without a doubt.
Mhm.
All right. What's that Tracy movie that we can watch, that you can watch 200 times and not get bored? What's the movie? Couple movies. Give me one or two.
Hmm. And not get bored. That's a good one.
Like you're gonna get off the interview with me and you had some time, you go watch it right now.
Mhm. I'm gonna go with Happy Gilmore, John. That one always. I love that one. I've
I
watched
love
it
that one.
millions of times as a kid. I could throw that on any time and still laugh my tail off. And yeah, that's a great one.
The best line of that movie is when the ball's on that the Giants' foot and he goes, "I'll see you in the parking lot." Best movie ever. I love it.
And you can count on me waiting for you in the
In
parking
the
lot.
parking. It's oh, Alex. All right, Alex. Question three. What's that go-to meal that you could probably eat 5 nights a week? Could be the junk food, could be something mom made that's your favorite, but what's the go-to for Alex Tracy?
I'm so like if I'm talking just an entree, I'm a big steak guy. I love steak
Okay.
in every fashion. But in terms of like something that I could eat every day, Chipotle, 100%.
Okay.
We get it as our team meal on Mondays, but like before I was even here and when I was in Sioux City, I would get it 4 to 5 times a week. It became a problem at some point with how much that I was going there. And that's one spot that I'll never get sick of.
Okay, so I'm gonna call Alex Tracy's goaltending food. Yeah, for sure. No,
Yeah, Chipotle, if you're listening to this and you're looking for an NIL deal, like hit me up. Hit me
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. We'll get this out on Spotify and YouTube. Don't worry. All right. You are a goaltender in the NHL. Alex Tracy has made the step. Now, just using the players for now, because this could happen the next year or two, and I'm going to surprise you with something that maybe you don't know about me. But you're the goaltender. You're playing next year. Who are your five in front of you that you would want that are out there right now in the NHL that you would love to be like, holy crap, I'm the goalie, and these five guys, the three forwards and the 2D, who
Uh-huh.
are they?
Okay, I'm gonna go Connor McDavid, one, twofold, because one, that means he wouldn't be going against me at all. So that would be a blessing. He's
Right.
and he's he's just so fun to watch. He's, in my
Oh,
opinion, the best
God.
player in the world right now. And like that, just being able to sit back and watch him operate would be unbelievable. Um, let's see, I'd probably throw Patrick Kane on one of the
Great
wings
hands.
because he was my favorite player growing up out, not goalie wise.
Yeah.
He was my favorite player.
You saw some great
Watching
years.
him, just yeah, the nostalgia. I'd love to just like be on a team with him, be able to pick his brain in the
Yeah.
locker room, ask him questions. That'd be unbelievable. The other wing, give me. I'm gonna go Ovi one, so I can be on his team when he breaks the record. That would
Okay,
be
he's gonna
that'll be
break Gretzky.
that would be
What
awesome.
is he?
Yep.
28 to go right now? Yeah, 28 to
Yeah,
go.
something like that. And so I don't have to get his one-timers whizzing past my ear
Yeah.
on the power
We're
play.
talking
That'd be
about
great.
Alexander Ovechkin to our crowd today, our audience.
Yep, Alex Ovechkin for sure. Um, and then on D. So I know I or I know you said current players right now.
Oh, we could go old school.
I'm gonna break the rules a little bit here. I'm
Okay.
gonna go Nicholas Hjalmarsson.
Oh, what a shot
Watching him
blocker.
and oh my goodness, how the way that he would just lay his body on the line and sacrifice himself to get the job done. Like that's someone I want
Great
playing in
pick, Alex. Great pick.
defense. He's unbelievable. And then turn the other D. I'm not give me. I'm gonna go the same route as kind of the Connor McDavid answer. I'll just go give me Cale Makar. I'd like to see him
Okay.
just. We got Hjalmarsson blocking all the shots, and hopefully
Yeah.
it finds Cale's stick. He just wheels it up the ice and goes and scores or dishes off McDavid
Yeah.
or whatever.
Hey,
You
you
know,
got a dominant five in front of you.
yeah,
Can you
those are my
imagine a
five.
puck drop one day and you're in the goal with these five guys in front of you?
Mhm.
That would be tremendous.
Yep, yeah,
Incredible.
I'm taking that team all day.
I got to ask you this last question. It could be old school and it could be new school since you broke the rules of this, but old school or new school, who have been your top five goalies in the world that you still admire to this day, new school, old school? Who are these five guys?
So okay, so my favorite, so at number one, I'm gonna put Marc-Andre Fleury. I've loved, and this doesn't, it kind of goes beyond in terms of like best of all time, maybe at the position, but he was always my favorite growing up. Watching him play and also just the joy that he had playing the position, like like away from the rink, he's a prankster. He loves keeping things like lighthearted, never got like
Right?
really too serious. But he was also an unbelievable goalie and his athleticism and not
Oh,
being the tallest guy in the league and things like that, and watching him fly around and make these saves, like really influenced me like as a goalie growing up. So I'd put him there. And then for my final four, I'm a big fan. You mentioned it earlier of watching guys who are in the zone. So I've never really had like outside of Flurry, I never really had like a specific goalie that I would watch all the time. I would always watch whoever's the hottest at the time and just see like what it is that is making them so dialed in and like, but where the
exactly.
puck seemingly like a beach ball with them. So in no specific order, I would put um I really loved watching Bennington's Jordan Bennington's 2019 Cup run.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Well, that was awesome. He gets a lot of heat for kind of playing on that. He's kind of like the Brad Marchand
Right.
of the goalie
But he
position.
got
Like
hot at the right
on that
time.
line. Yeah, and so I love watching him. Braden Holtby in 2018 when he led the Caps to a cup was awesome. Um, I've always loved watching Sergei Bobrovsky.
Oh, yeah.
He was especially in his cup run recently, but then also in his days when he was in Columbus, I tried to like kind of model my game around his and like the
Around
way that
him.
his posture and things like that. I've always loved watching how dialed he'd get in. Um, and then for the last one, right before COVID hit, when I was in Johnstown, I went home. We had a bye week, and I went to a Hawks game. They were playing the Rangers, and they were playing this rookie goalie by the name of Igor Shesterkin. And I remember watching him, and he's probably the top goalie in the NHL now in
Oh,
current day.
sure.
I remember watching him when he just came into the league, and he was just mesmerizing in the crease. All of his pushes were so intentional and so crisp and so
Sure.
like he had so much jam to his game that I
And you
loved that.
could see that in the stands as the spectator, but of course, you
Yes.
being the goaltender.
Yes, exactly. And I was, obviously cheering for the Hawks like during that game, but my eyes were just glued on him the entire time and just watching the way that he operated his crease. And, now he's over the last
Yeah, he's
however
the
many
guy
months
now.
it's been since then, he's
And
been so
correct me
good.
if I'm Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. I think when he came up, Henry Lundqvist was still with the Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Henrik was kind of making his final
The
like
final, yeah.
his final is and making his way out of the league, and Igor was kind of taking that um kind of passing of the baton to Igor,
Yeah.
and he took it over, and he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, no,
He's kind of like Bennington, done that has a
what a great
flair,
pick
and
and what
I've
great
loved
insight by
watching him.
you to see that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so those would be kind of my five that I've loved watching growing up.
What's a go-to song that gets you pumped up? What's a song you like? Kind of a song that really, gets the Alex Tracy going.
Go-to song. I wouldn't really say I have a specific song. I do kind of have like a routine of like certain like types of music that I like to listen to. And John, if I'm being honest with you, I listen to a lot of worship music leading into games because as someone as myself, like I've struggled with a lot of performance anxiety growing up, like a lot of doubts, fears, worries,
Sure.
things like that going into games. And, a lot of times it would kind of caused me to the point where, I'd be
Exactly.
paralyzed going on the ice with like no or so kind of grounding myself in Jesus and kind of spending that time with him and getting like his words put into my into my headphones before games has really reminded me of like what my purpose is and who my identity is found in and reminded that regardless of the outcome of the game like my platform is hockey, but my purpose is spreading the gospel of Jesus, and that it really helps me just focus on doing the best that I can for His glory and leaving the outcome in His hands. So worship music and prayer helps me really get dialed in for games, and that's I think the what's been the biggest key to this to my success so far this year.
That is fantastic how you just put it. Okay, I don't know a lot of members of your family. I don't. But of course, the one I do know, and I want
Mhm.
to thank him here for night for getting this started. This started about a year ago. Anything you want to say about Uncle Paul?
Like, thank you for of course, setting this up, but also he's really set that example of just what it means to have a good work ethic and like
Oh yeah,
whatever it is, whether it's setting up for fight night at Mount Carmel, helping set up the numerous softball tournaments that he does, or whether
incredible.
it, you know, or whether it's something small, like setting up like a tea time for me and him to go play golf, like whenever it is. Like he's so intentional and he's so caring and loving and he's been such a great role model for me in that aspect of what it means to be um to have a good and successful
Yeah.
successful work ethic. So, he's been such an amazing he's had such an amazing impact on my life and I love him to death and um so
I
grateful that he gave us this opportunity.
I want to thank you. He's been great to me too, letting me be the host of this 16 in Softball of Fame podcast that he does. Listen, young man, this was great. I couldn't wait to meet you. Couldn't wait to talk to you. I hope I didn't bore you with my goaltending questions, but you are one fantastic young man. And I'm going to just say this to you. Keep doing what you're doing because whatever happens to you. And remember, I told Jeremy Roenick on my podcast that he
Mhm.
would get in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Alex Tracy, if you make it to the NHL or the AHL, we heard it on a conversation with John Conenna.
Mhm.
Alex, you are a fine young man, and I thank you for tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate all the kind words, and I've really enjoyed spending this time with you, John. I thank you.
Thank you. We're going to get this out on YouTube and Spotify in the coming days. We have visited tonight with Alex Tracy at the goaltending, the number one goaltender, I'll say it, at the University of Minnesota State, the Mavericks. Continued success in the NCAA Division One. Good night, everyone. Good night, Alex.
Thank you, John. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Available now at Amazon and everywhere books are sold online. Siciliana. Siciliana is a captivating novel that embodies the ferocity of a woman wronged while contemplating complex questions of home and country. This thrilling story of a 13th century Sicilian revolution will dazzle fans of historical fiction. You will find much here to relish, tremble at, and in the end, cheer. Purchase your copy today.